As a new dawn arises in the land of the rising sun, emasculated troglodytes in the west salivate with envy. A place, a homeland, an idea, something they cannot have for themselves.
Konnichiwa, motherfucker!
Part 1. お前たちはもう死んでいる。何?
Well, hello there. I'm a samurai, defender of glorious Nippon. I'm out here defending my homeland from the foreign enemy threat. Just look how dangerous the enemy is. Just look at these Bakugaijins. Anyway, speaking of the enemy, or well, the actual enemy, let's actually get onto today's topic. These boys, the alt-right, if you don't know who they are. Why do they love Japan so much? It's been well documented in great detail that the alt-right has a somewhat weird and disturbing fascination towards Asia and especially Japan. The alt-right's fascination with Asian women is pretty well known at this point. Ugh. But that gross rabbit hole is a video for its own day. The alt-right, despite their rejection of immigration, outright hostility towards foreigners, people of colour, and non-Western countries, have many alt-right figures repeatedly praising Japan. People like William Daley Johnson, Jared Taylor, Richard Spenny, and even Big Steve-O.
Steve, oh my god, why the fuck do you look so sad all the time? Buddy, what's wrong? Why you look so sad?
These alt-right personalities often put Japan in high regard for its nationalistic, idealistic, homogeneitic policies and culture. If you spend enough time reading alt-right stuff in the freaky parts of the internet,
the samurai of the entire world need to rise oneself to action. The Jews fear the samurai. The Jews fear the samurai. I would say Japan is one of the better examples of an ethnostate since it still exists. What the fuck? Nani? The Jews fear the samurai.
Many alt-righters often cite Japan's homogeneity as something that leads to a successful economic societal environment. It's approximated that Japan is around about 98% native Japanese. Some alt-righters would even go as far as saying this is a model that the West should strive for. Neo-Nazi mass murderer Anders wrote in his manifesto word for word praising Japan as a model country for avoiding multiculturalism. Ooh, spooky diversity. It's pretty weird in all honesty. Well, anyway, that's what I'm here to talk about today. Why is the topic of Japan's ethnostate and homogeneity always cited as a point of contention in alt-right circles and alt-right debates?
Nobody would ask Japan if it was okay that, Japan become a minority Japanese nation.
But we're not Japan.
Why does the alt-right love Japan so much? Is Japan's ethnostate and culture truly good and something to aspire to? Are they right? I mean, they're pretty alt-right. Oh, that's bad. That's a shit joke. That's so shit. I'm cutting that. Is Japan truly homogenous? Well, let's find out. Let me give you my opinion and my analysis on what's going on here. Why did I do that? Why the fuck did I do that?
Part 2. Where's all the love coming from? Well, to understand this, let me give you some background here. Let me go full year 12 history all over you. Now, far-right fascination with Japan is no new occurrence. In World War II, Nazi Germany were foremost allies with Japan. At the time, Japan had its own version of fascism. However, it can be easily argued, and my personal take on this, it was more of an alliance of convenience rather than true admiration on Japan. Anyway, but with the alt-right, the admiration seems to be rooted in genuine respect and desire for emulation. Post-1945 Japan has done a lot to evolve and rebrand itself, trying to move away and cover up its horrible past, economically and culturally, transforming itself from the whole World War II fascist Nippon Banzai to more of the moe moe kawaii Japan that we all know today. As much as I kid, Japan did a lot of bad shit in World War II. Modern day Japan is more about being respectful, spiritual, and hardworking, not really having that fascist appeal anymore. On the surface, this doesn't seem to correlate a lot with what the alt-right is all about, but the alt-right views Japan's society and cultural to fit their agenda. That is, the low crime rate because of its lacking diversity and homogeneity and conserved cultural value. Throughout history, Japan has closed its gates to the world, as in 1963 when it adopted an isolation policy that lasted for almost 2 centuries. Even modern day Japan can be viewed as quite closed and exclusive, and the difficult language and drastic need to adapt to an insane ordered spiritual hardworking society. These are just some factors that make migration and assimilation to Japan very difficult. Also, Japan is an isolated island nation, really hard to reach in relation to the world. Ever since the whole refugee crisis that started back in 2015, Japan has not been happy on taking in refugees. Japan has the lowest number of accepted refugees in the world. According to an article by the Financial Times of Japan, they took only in 28 refugees in 2016. Because of the strict refugee policy, members of the alt-right have expressed appreciation for Japan's immigration policy. Self-proclaimed alt-right intellectual Jared Lizardskin Taylor wrote in an article that Japan's homogeny is something to be praised, stating that the state is protecting itself from the alien cultures that won't adapt to Japanese way of living. I mean, that's pretty hypocritical considering the lizard Jared Taylor grew up in Japan himself, and by his own stance, he was an alien himself and shouldn't have been there. Well, then again, he does kind of look like he's from outer space, so there is that. For a guy who's like so proud of the color of his own skin, like he sure doesn't take good care of it. Like seriously, mate, would it kill you to moisturize? Your skin is decaying. What is wrong with... Okay, sorry. Crime in Japan is dropping amid the longest economic expansion in almost 3 decades, making one of the safest nations even safer. When alt-right figures discuss building their own ethnostate, this is a point they love to spit out there. They claim that the concept of building a white ethnostate is not out of racist fear-mongering rhetoric, but it's actually to make a safer environment, pointing to Japan as an example. They claim and associate Japan's low crime rate due to it being a society lacking diversity and multiculturalism. It's universally understood at this point white nationalists and white ethnostate fetish boys aren't too happy about diversity. You know, great replacement or whatever, claiming that multiculturalism has failed and is the bane of everything wrong with the West. Many far-right people tend to view Japan as a country that isn't multicultural. Jared Taylor, writing on David Duke's blog, you know, the literal Nazi KKK guy, calling Japan the best foreign influence while shutting out foreign people. The alt-right views Japan as a clear argument against the dreaded diversity that is destroying their glorious Western civilization. While the point of Japan's lack of multiculturalism is debatable since other ethnic groups have been living in Japan throughout history, whatever, let's just ignore that for now, we'll get to that. Even so, the statistic of more than 98% of people being native Japanese is a very sexy concept that alt-right people want to emulate. While Japan has spent a lot of its time trying to distance itself from its imperialistic, nationalistic, evil past, nationalism still exists, and is currently gaining more ground, not helped by President Abe's troubling policies stirring up more trouble and division. The alt-right uses their mental gymnastics, taking the model of Japanese society and proposing to emulate it. White supremacist, neo-Nazi, white nationalists wish to build a country like Japan. As long as Japan lacks diversity and multiculturalism and has a low crime rate, the alt-right will view it as a nation of success. And, that's really not the case, and we'll get to that later. Japan has unfortunately become a blueprint for the alt-right. A perfect societal example in the eyes of alt-righters. Japanese government policies continue to be a model for right-wing advocates who want to adopt their similar way of life. Japan's contrast between the highly modernized society and very traditionally homogeneous civilization remains the alt-right core argument for unity that they want to see. As long as Japan lacks diversity and multiculturalism, the alt-right will view it as a nation of success, always pointing to it as their glorious example. And in all honesty, I kinda hate this, so let's talk about how they're wrong. Part 3. Bakamonaga. It's time for my counterattack. People arguing that Japan is proof that ethnostates work are completely making the wrong argument. Even if they were correct, it's not relevant to how well Japan functions as a ethnostate. Japan was not converted to being an ethnostate after centuries of already being multicultural. But okay, let's just ignore that for a second and just look at Japan's crime rate in relation to its homogeneity. Are they correct in saying homogeneity leads to less criminals? While Japan has a very low crime rate compared to other countries, is mostly true, in Japan crime rates have consistently fallen throughout the years. It tends to rank the lowest in global crime index ratings, while at the same time ranking highly with regards to safety, and as the alt-right is prone to tell us, Japan is indeed highly homogeneous in its ethnic makeup, so from the outset they would seem to be correct. However, delving a bit deeper into the subject reveals some underlying details that alt-righters tend to omit from the equation. Ironically, some of what's going on here stands in direct opposition to the alt-right's core beliefs. A 2014 report by the United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime analyzed the global homicide rates and ascribed various reasons to Japan's low well-known percentage of crime. They found the following. Japan's lack of crime is to do with a multitude of factors. Low levels of gun ownership, increases in comfort of life, an extremely high percentage of solved crime cases, a relatively low gulf between rich and poor. A reason strangely absent is the alt-right's hyper-focus on ethnicity. The report does mention the presence of social strife in more diverse communities, but it goes on to note that non-natives are more likely to be victims of violence than perpetrators. So we are presented with some reasons of Japan's low crime rate, and the alt-right usually omits this from their arguments within their debates. Rather than mostly being a result of homogeneity makeup, the low numbers are rather attributed to social and economic factors. As noted earlier, an important factor of Japan's low crime rate is found in its legal system, and in overly simplistic terms and very general talk here, Japan's legal system is hot garbage. Japan's conviction rate is a whopping 99%, and if that doesn't give off red flags, I don't know what does. A closer look reveals some questionable aspects of this image as well. The first thing one noticed when looking at Japan's legal system is the over-reliance on confessions. While numbers tend to differ slightly, these percentages have been noted to be in the high 80% of all convictions. In Japan, suspected criminals can be held as long as 23 days. Unlike Western countries, many liberties and rights are revoked from people when under investigation. And a lot of this is quite shit, in all honesty. On top of that, police can and often will begin their questions before their lawyers are presented, usually strong-arming people into confessions. Naturally, this places a large amount of stress on suspects regardless of their guilt. Japan's legal system on questioning is very much akin to the phrase of guilty until proven innocent. What I'm trying to make here is the point I'm trying to make here is Japan's reputation of this bastion of safety is completely completely false. One should keep in mind that raw numbers don't often tell the whole story. Despite the perfect image conjured up by alt-right people who sell Japan as this, many alt-righters praise Japan for its lack of initiative in bringing on immigration. Japan has been dealing with a structural aging population for many years now. A staggering 28% of its population is past the age of 65, with another 12% around about between the ages of 55 and 65. This has largely been attributed to increases in life quality. Japan stands firmly at the top of most life expectancy charts, generally averaging around 85 years. The aging population is predicted to severely impact the economy in the coming years. One of the biggest consequences of having such a high percentage of aging citizens is that they will retire in the coming future. This will lead to a massive drain in the workforce. As it stands now, Japan does not have enough young blood to make up for its social and economic problems. Reasons for this extremely varied and too complicated to fully investigate for myself. But one can think such things as more women choosing careers over families and the phenomenon of hikikomori. A natural solution to the problem of Japan's dying population is to bring in outside workers. In other words, embrace immigration. Yet there is one thing alt-right and Japan find common ground is their strong reluctance towards immigration. Like I mentioned previously, this is certainly no new phenomena. Japan has historically been very isolationistic. I love Japan, well, because, you know, I love myself, but besides the point. What I don't like is when Japan is used as a scapegoat for alt-right people to argue their ridiculous points about ethnostates. Does Japan have an extremely low crime rate? Yes. Is its ethnic makeup homogeneous? Most certainly. Does that mean homogeneity equals less crime? Well, no. Correlation does not mean causation. The example of Japan being a good ethnostate is a pretty bad example. Japan isn't this homogeneous utopia. It's a nice place, but like any other country, it's got a plethora of problems, and Japan has a ton of problems. Pornography is rampant, pedophilia is basically normalized, Japanese women are having no babies, and the birth rates have fallen off a cliff. It kind of looks like a lot of the problems can and are going to be solved by more immigration and diversity. I personally hope Japan doesn't go back to nationalistic, racist roots. But hey, fear-mongering nationalism doesn't work and won't make you happy. Come on guys, there's historical precedent for this. I feel bad for a lot of alt-righters. I pity them. Something must have gone terribly wrong in their lives to lead them down to this distorted worldview. You know, ethnostates can't forcibly or unnaturally be made. Smarter minds than mine have clearly already pointed that out. Japan isn't this model utopia alt-right people can follow. I don't really get a lot of this ethnostate homeland nonsense, really. I don't really get this ethnostate homeland nonsense, really. For me personally, I just want to hold hands and sing Kumbaya with everybody, no matter who or what gender you really are. I know, that's the homeland utopia I want to build and be a part of. That's cheesy as fuck and really idealistic and very, call me a dreamer, but that's me. So, yeah. Hey, wow, that took way too long to make. I'm sorry everyone, I'll probably make something shorter and that doesn't take forever. Cool, this is the end of the video. Yes, why I am off script, so this is gonna sound so bad. Right? Thank you to everyone who comments and watches and bothers.
Okay, special thanks. People outside. Right, so welcome to the end of the video. I'm just gonna go read out some of the Patreon people.
Yep. So first off, in the people who get their special thanks and they get their own columns in themselves, the people in the $10 a month tier. Thank you to Barely Contained, this absolute legend. He's always on my Twitter comment thingies and he's always giving sassy, funny comments. Also, thank you to Michael Grimes, who is in the $10 tier as well. Awesome, love you guys. Sweet, and thank you, and the other Patreons, of course. Thank you to Adam McCaver, Adita J. Jardase, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing these right, Alexandria de los Santos, Jeff Putney, Max Star, Peter Coffin, Rory brackets Everybody Talks, Theo Kamilovich, and Theory Pleb. Okay, sweet. Thank you to, yeah.
If you want to be alongside these legends, yeah, Patreon, right. What am I doing?
Man, I look so weird in live action. Thank you to everyone on Patreon who is currently paying for my Netflix and gym subscriptions. That is a massive help. If you want to see your name next to all these good boys and women, go support me on Patreon, please. It's patreon.com/pixel_hipster, capital P, capital H. You guys have my highest praise and my most grateful thanks. Let's build a better society. Much love. I don't know. Oh, wait. I have a Twitter as well. Follow me on that if you want to see like a bunch of memes. I put like lots of small clips from like I just make for fun and I don't add into videos there. So yeah, follow me on the tweets. Yeah. Is that it? Sure, fine. Hey, oh right. Hey, okay. So wait, I forgot to say. Can you hit the bell thing as well? Because God, my fucking PS4 keeps going off in the background. Smash that like button. Smash that like button. Obliterate that subscribe. Oh my god, this video was such a hassle to make, you have no idea. Like, it literally crashed on me 4 times and I had to remake it like twice. At the end of this I have no motivation. Oh my god, just